This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on lrodvinetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss and your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on lrodvinetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to lrodvinetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Thirsty Topics. I'm Lawrence Elrod.
And I'm Meryl Climo.
How's it going, Meryl?
It's so good. How are you?
I am doing great, other than technical glitches here and there. Okay.
I would expect nothing less from us. From you, from me, you're really good about it, but for me.
How was your weekend?
It was very good. I went down to San Diego and did a show with some friends. It was amazing.
Nice.
How about you?
Well, you know what? My Bears got their first win, so I'm very happy.
Yay. Oh, you know what I did do, which will, I'm sure, lead us into the first talk, but like a bad girl, I went to Disneyland, even though everyone's canceling it. But we'll talk about it. I've canceled myself already, so I'm cancel proof.
I'm curious, was it still a lot of people there?
Yes, it's so funny. When I did my comedy thing, I was telling a joke about how I thought all the people on the left weren't going and everyone on the right is at home on Reddit. So what's everyone busy? What's everyone there for? I don't understand. So
I guess they're waiting to see what happens, right?
Exactly. And I think too, in our minds, Disneyland tickets seem a little bit different to me than streaming Disney, or you know what I mean? If we're going to cancel Disney and everything, then there's so many trickle down things that have to go into that. So I don't know. It gets a little ridiculous of getting mad at people for going to Disney, I've already had this trip planned forever. So this is where it gets a little silly when we start getting mad at each other for stuff like this. So
that's true. That's true. Talk about mad or glad, depending on what side of the fence you're on. The View has finally spoke about the Jimmy Kimmel suspension. So they started talking about it this morning. In fact, it was the first thing they talked about. And what they stated was that they were waiting for a response from Jimmy Kimmel before they said anything. And they did acknowledge that a lot of their fans got really upset that they didn't mention anything about it. So I guess the real question is, do you kind of believe what they said, that they were waiting to get information from Jimmy, or they were pressured not to say anything but had to retract that pressure, that decision, because of their fan base?
Honestly, I probably believe all of it is true to some degree. I bet the next day maybe they got some pressure from executives saying this is not the time to go off and double down, and if you do that today or tomorrow, you're going to get taken off the air. And maybe just because I saw the other shows how Colbert and Fallon and all these, or Seth Meyers, I thought they all did it in such a funny way too, that it seemed like everyone was just taking a day or two to say, okay, we don't agree with this, but we're not going to go in so hard quite yet. So I think it was probably a mix of I bet people told them it wasn't a good idea to go in really, really hard at first. And then also maybe they were getting some details and talking about how they wanted to discuss it internally.
Do you think that the View should have said something last week when it first broke? Or do you think they did the right thing by waiting till today?
I think they should have at least said something, even if it's we're still gathering our thoughts, but Jimmy's our friend and we don't agree with this. I think, I don't know, I'm surprised Whoopi didn't say something, because I don't know the other people on it, but I mean, the article, I can see their names, but I'm surprised they didn't at least say something to address it. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's always I also don't know if a lot of people like tune into The View for like, oh, okay, this is my news source. Like, I know you watch it for fun and everything, but I've never heard someone say like, The View said this, and that really like changed my mind on this opinion. So,
Yeah, I guess, the way I look at it is, everyone is definitely open to whether or not they want to listen to someone or believe them or whatever. But I guess from my standpoint, I think the reason why so many people were concerned or even got mad about them not approaching it is the View talks about anything and everything,
yeah,
especially
yeah, yeah, yeah.
politics, everything. So it was very, very, very awkward that all this thing happened up around them and they said not one thing about it. So that
Yeah.
was kind of weird. To me, it was.
Especially, yeah, especially when everyone else, like even Letterman and people that weren't on the
Hmm.
air, are saying something. So I bet executives were probably like, if you mention it at all, you're going to get fired today, which is really like, not good.
Hmm.
But I always think about that too, because I've heard that too. I've heard one of the things was that they told Jimmy Kimmel to like stop going so hard on it, and he was like, not only will I not do that, but I'm going to double down and like go even further. And it's hard to know like which one you would be, because I don't want to say I'd sell out, but if I had a job that was helping people like, say save with their families, and if I was like supporting my own family in a million things, like I could see a scenario where I kind of am like, oh, okay, that's boring, but I like will keep my opinions to myself. So maybe I'm like more of a sellout than other people, but I don't know.
Well, the sad part about this, Merrill, is that even though Jimmy is the person that we're talking about, he has a whole staff that right now
Yeah,
is working. Now, Jimmy, regardless of what happens, Jimmy's going to be fine financially.
exactly.
He may take a little bit of hit, entertainment wise, based on what happened, but he's going to be fine. But that may not be the case for the people on the staff.
Exactly. And I guess too, I guess maybe because I haven't found yet, like, once there's a cause where it's like, no, I have so much conviction about this whole thing that, like, if I was on, if I was on air, I just like wouldn't even want to mention Trump or bad things at all. It would just be like, I don't want to spend my time on it or energy on it. Like, I'd rather talk about other stuff. But I think that is cool that Jimmy and other people have such like strong convictions that no matter what, even knowing that they might get let go from like a huge career, that they're still sticking to it.
That's true. Now, I believe wasn't Stephen Colbert the first one who had his show canceled and is running
Yeah,
the contract.
I
Now,
know.
what's interesting about that is why do you think the outrage is so much more prevalent with Jimmy Kimmel versus him? Because I mean,
Yeah,
it's noticeably different.
exactly. I think a few reasons. I think number one, like Trump literally said, like Kimmel's next, So I think stuff like that. That they two of them have just been so outwardly like going after each other for years that I think we all knew that Trump kind of had it out for Kimmel. The second thing is maybe I think for years they were like reporting that Colbert's ratings were pretty low, but maybe we didn't know the extent of like how low the Kimmel ratings were or anything. To us in our minds, that's one of like the couple big ones. So it's like, oh, okay, those ones are just like sailing along fine, and we didn't know really like what the if it's losing money, if it's making money. And yeah, I think maybe also Kimmel's just more like outwardly he's hosted the Oscars and hosted stuff before. So I think in our minds he's just like Mr. Hollywood. So now that Ryan Reynolds canceled, now Jimmy Kimmel is next up. So
Well, I can tell you there's more to this story coming.
oh my gosh, there definitely is. But yeah, I think uh, my wrap up is I'm surprised if you ladies didn't say anything. I feel like when I think of Whoopi Goldberg, I do think of like a very brave, awesome person that speaks her mind. So I think I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. But I also think these types of things come up every like week where it's like, okay, if you don't speak on this, you're not a good person or you're not right. And so like next month there really will be, I think, another like cause du jour that everyone needs to talk about.
Hmm. That's true. That's
You
true.
know, like we've had like 5 of these things this past year where it's like, if you don't talk about this right away, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes people need to understand too, the way entertainers are paid are much different than everyone else. They're literally under contract, so
Yeah.
which means they can lose their contract possibly even be sued for breach of contract. So it's kind of a very, very tight line to walk.
Yeah.
You're under that type of employment.
100%. There's no because I was on like San Diego radio, and I'm like, there's no way I would have made it through the pandemic and through everything on air. I would have gotten fired like 1,000,000%, just for, even if I had like stupid opinions or no opinions, just like, and there was times that they would call me into the office and be like, we can't really talk about this, or one woman got mad because I was talking about that J Lo's skin looked moist during the Super Bowl, and she hated that I said the word moist.
Oh,
And
wow.
so even just stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, this was a very nice paying job. Do I want to just like fight this, or do I want to continue to say the word moist that much? So like, I just cut it out of my vocabulary because I wanted like a nice salary. So, not that obviously this is way more important. This is like big freedom of speech things, but I don't know if I admire Jimmy Kimmel for at least like having such big convictions that it's like, no, for everyone, I'm going to stand up to this.
I agree. I agree.
But I'm not that strong. I have weak character.
You're a very strong character.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. Even though I went to Disneyland, but it's okay. Well, speaking of character, we won't be seeing ones like Aladdin and Mickey Mouse, because a lot of people are canceling their Disney and canceling their Hulu. To be honest, I wouldn't even know how to cancel ABC if I tried, because I don't even know if we get ABC or not. So like, it's a good thing that I don't know how to work a lot of our TV, that I like don't even know if we're canceled or not with these things. But Disney has been dealing with the fallout for days, and things are not getting any better. As of yesterday, Disney stock has dropped more than 2%, an estimated 4.4 billion since dismissing Jimmy Kimmel. Now I'm seeing today a lot of Marvel stars like Mark Ruffalo and people are warning Disney that the stock would drop even more if Disney did not take action and bring the show back. From what I've heard, it's so funny. People are saying on TikTok that when you like go to cancel Hulu or whatever, it's like, no, please, we'll keep you for $2.99 a month. Or it's almost becoming desperate where they'll lower your stuff so much. So that might be a hack for people, even if you don't want to cancel your account, just pretend like you're going to, and then they'll lower your price. And I thought this was so funny. There was also one influencer that took to social media and shared the screenshot of him canceling Disney Plus, but then by accident he kept it in that he had just signed up like that day. so he pretty much like signed up to then undo it, and so everyone were like, that's performative, good try, but we can see that you just signed up like 2 hours ago.
You got to get those views some kind of way, huh?
Yeah. So okay, this is where, and I would love your opinion, and I'm sure I feel alone, but sometimes I understand that we have to show, this is how we show our like movement is within our dollar, we vote with our dollar type of thing. I totally get that. And I get that, like, that's how we would show them, is we hit them in the pockets and all that stuff. But what I don't like is when sometimes now it turns to like inside fighting, where I'm seeing people on Facebook fighting with each other for not canceling Disney, or like you're not showing it on your social media. And I think this is where we like lose the plot a little bit with just getting mad at each other as people, so I don't know, have you canceled your stuff, and like how do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't have to worry about canceling Disney Plus and all that, because I don't have that anyway.
You don't have it. Okay, good. So you're part of the solution way before. You've been doing the good thing. And like the other thing, I feel bad for the people, like, like I work a lot on having my own movies and TV and stuff, and I know how hard you work, like even at the beginning stages when it's not even on there. And so like I feel so bad for the people that have shows on Hulu and Disney that have nothing to do with this. And it's like you accomplish your dream of getting something on the air, which is already like a close to impossible feat, and then due to something that's not even you, now people are like boycotting it. I wish there was other ways that we could still support these people that have like nothing to do with it, and not pay the corporations.
Yeah, that's true. And what's interesting about this boycott is the boycott is probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 100 times, or even 1,000 times more than the budget of his show. So
Yeah.
when you start getting into the B word, the billions,
yeah,
they may not say it out loud, but at some point someone's going to sit down and go, is this really worth this?
I know. But then it's gonna look so weird it's gonna be awkward. Like we said, if they do bring him back, then he's gonna go triple hard on Trump, and then it's just gonna be weird. So like I don't know. In my mind, the Disney people probably have so much like ego and whatever that they're just gonna be like, nope, we came with this decision, we're going to stick with it.
That's true, but at some point they're going to have to address it because they probably did not anticipate the backlash that they're getting from their subscribers. It's one thing to be criticized for it and media and all this. It's another thing when it hits the pocketbooks because that's how you get a business's attention. It's hit them in the pockets. They do pay attention.
Exactly. And it's amazing that we really could move. I can't think of anything else like huge that we've had in the, like, I know there's been little drips and drabs over here of like, boycott this, don't spend money on Goya beans, or, these like things that are supposedly not a good businesses. But then I haven't, like, I know like Starbucks and Target and these things people for a long time have been saying to stay away from. But I mean, like, let's be honest, at any point, like Starbucks and Target are always full with people and stuff. This is maybe the most like powerful one I've seen so far.
That's true. And for it to be, not even a week old yet, for them to have billions of dollars, that's something that they can't ignore. They can't ignore those numbers.
I know. And I think this is the first time I've seen a lot of like Hollywood people say, I know they're starting to say that they're like foregoing their own movie promotions and their own like Marvel red carpets and everything. So it will be interesting. Once again, if I was like a movie person with nothing to do with this, I would just kind of be like, well, I understand it means like free speech for everyone, and this is like the example that we all have to set so that we show networks that we don't deal with this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, on the topic of The View here, let's see. The FCC is possibly targeting The View, basically saying in a nutshell that I think Trump stated that they're very mean to him. They always talk negative about him, and maybe they should be taken off the air next. Do you think that this was a coincidence that this came out like right around the time they're actually saying something, or is it just kind of a direct, okay, you want to say something now?
Yeah.
You. I mean, because one could argue either way.
Oh yeah, I think, like I said, if it's kind of, it has to be all around that. If we're targeting shows like The View, then we have to target shows like that on the other side of politics, or like that are saying it has to be symmetrical. And I have felt that way for like no matter who's kind of the winning team at that point. So yeah, I feel like The View seems so innocuous to me. Like, even if they have opinions I don't like, they're not hurting anyone, or they're just sharing their opinions and not really inciting violence or anything like that. So yeah, I think this definitely seems very targeted.
Oh yeah. And one thing about The View, for anyone who's watching, they kind of know, even if they feel strongly about something, they're always quick to point out that it is your choice, especially when it comes to politics. You choose who's there and what they do by your vote.
Yeah.
And they really encourage that. And what I like about it is that even if you have a difference of opinion, you can respect that opinion and still disagree with it and be civil about it. You don't have to yell, scream, want to fight and all this. And it's okay to debate. It really is.
Right.
But you can't have a system to where, okay, you know what? This show's not saying anything nice about me. We're taking it off the air. You can't have that either.
I know. And I wonder if it's also, I don't know how The View is doing financially, but it's like, what else would they put in that time slot? Like, as humans, we still want to watch other humans sit and talk around about their views, and that's interesting. Like, I think a lot of talking head shows, that's what we want to watch, is other people's opinions, and it makes us feel we agree with them, or we disagree, or we learn from them. But I think like Jimmy Kimmel and The View, they really could like take it off broadcast and do numbers that are even more. Like, I think I saw the Daily Show one had like 7 million views on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And that's so much more than like what the actual broadcast numbers are doing. So it's so interesting to me that, the power can be like more independent stuff.
That's true. And like The View, I did not know people watch The View like this, but there's a weekend View, there's a podcast of The View.
Oh, really?
So people watch The View way, way more than I do, obviously.
Yeah.
And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that even if you successfully get them taken off the air, you're not going to necessarily kill that voice. If anything, you may
Exactly.
amplify it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's ridiculous if like what they're saying is not allowed to be in our common our just it's like we have channels that they can be talking about that, whatever people on Fox can be talking about what they want to talk about. People on the Food Network are talking about things. Like it's just
Mhm.
we're allowed to have all different stations. And if you don't like it, then yeah, exactly. Tune out.
And my thing is like this: if you're going to talk about you don't like their speech or whatever, do it on both sides. You can't go, well, this person is real extreme, but we like him; he's one of us, so that's fine. But because we don't like this person, no, we need to take him off the air.
Right. Yeah. And to me, like they would have to be saying worse things. I don't know. It gets really weird if we start to have a situation where like you can't talk badly about the president or like it's just weird. But there's also I was listening to a podcast kind of with the other view of things where it's like, well, these are private businesses and they're allowed to do what they want to. Like no one's putting them in jail for the freedom of speech. They're basically, excuse me, just like letting go of shows that aren't making money. Like it's a money thing at the end of the day is what they're saying, but we know it's probably not all that. I know. It's
That
like,
would
okay,
be
then what are you going to put in? Like, what, I don't know at this point, like what would make a lot of money on like broadcast TV?
I don't know. I mean, right now in Jimmy Kimmel spot, they have reruns of Celebrity Family Feud right now.
It's just going to keep being game show after game show.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of game shows these days. That's true. But will they bring in the amount of viewership as Jimmy Kimmel? I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I could
I
be wrong.
know.
And
I wonder if they're also like trying to target different age brackets where it's like, okay, most people now from like 18 to 45 or whatever are going to be watching pretty much like YouTube or streaming. Um, but maybe like traditional broadcast people are like in their later years are tuning in more. I don't know.
This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on LRODTVNetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss in your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on LRODTVNetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to LRODTVNetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see if they go in hard on the view or if they kind of back off.
Yeah. It's very cool here too, living in Burbank, because I get to a lot of my like friends that are comedians and writers who are part of the Writers Guild. Like they strike right by Disney Studios, right by where I live. So like, I'm not in the Writers Guild or anything, but it's really cool to like drive by and see all these people. They were doing it for animation when the Animation Guild was kind of going through some stuff, and then during like the AI times, and so like when I drive to go get my groceries today, later when I drive by, I'll see like hundreds of people right outside of Disney with signs, and like a few of my friends have gone viral for having like protest signs and stuff. So it's really cool to see people like taking action.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, someone else that's voting with their dollar is Travis Kelce, who recently just got fined $14,491 for making quote unquote obscene gestures during last week's match before the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles. Um, After a 23-yard gain by the Chiefs, he celebrated by gesturing animatedly to his groin, seemingly just directing his movements towards the sideline, the Philly sideline. the NFL announced that they would be cracking down on gestures that were unsportsmanlike, violently, and sexually suggestive. Then the Chiefs lost, which was also embarrassing. But then I don't know. I guess okay. My first question with you for you is like, do you know where the odd number of like 14,491 come? Like, why not just round up to a cool 15,000? Do you know why it's that number?
No, actually, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, like why make it that? Why to that dollar?
Why not just say 15,000 to call it a day? But
Exactly.
and you know the real thing about it, Merle, is now don't get me wrong. $14,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but the players that make, like in his case, you know, their contract is worth 100 or over $100 million. That $14,000 is really nothing. I mean, let's be real.
Right.
It's nothing to them.
Yeah.
And you know, they've always had rules in there about or unsportsmanlike conduct, unnecessary celebrations. You know, when they kind of take it over there. I think what he did was kind of a little bit over the top. You know,
Yeah.
and that
It's not
that could have
classy.
really got out of hand. What if that started a big brawl on the field? You know.
Yeah. I feel that way where it's like I think it's totally okay to celebrate. It's not offensive to me like per se, but it's also just kind of like, oh god, it's not the classiest or whatever. But I think it's kind of silly. And I think also like when you grow up playing football, like at what point does that start? That's just kind of acting like a little kid, which we all are sometimes, like it's kind of like if you win something and you're like suck it, we've all it's like at what age are you supposed to grow out of that? I don't know, maybe when you're playing like college football or something, I don't really know. But if I was Travis Kelsey, I literally every game would just get fined, but then I would say I'm going to match my donations every game to like a charity. So I'll pay 15 grand to like an animal shelter or something like that, and I would just make it fun.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way of making money. But yes, definitely.
Yeah, I would just say like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever gesture I want, and then just like, but I'm gonna match it to a charity, and then that charity hopefully will get like the spotlight. Um, I think it's a little silly and like, yeah, not classy, but I don't know why that amount to be fined.
That is a weird amount. I mean, I don't know how they.
Yeah,
There's
I
really
know. I wonder
like
yeah, I wonder what the calculation is there. I'll have to find that out more, but it's funny because like our now that he's marrying Taylor, he just seems so like I think in our minds we think of like a lot of people think of him as like a Prince Charming type of like perfect guy, but then some of like his actions on the field of just whether it's like pushing his coach or just acting a fool, kind of it's definitely is he's not like the most grown up. I think.
no. Another thing too is he needs to be careful because there are certain things that will not only get you kicked out the game, but get you suspended for a few games too. So
Yeah,
he needs to understand that yes, you know, you do have a very famous fiance that the world knows who it is. There are limits to what you can do on that field, and
I know.
he needs to be careful about that because. And the other thing too is when you get suspended or kicked out of a game, you hurt your team. And
Yeah,
to do the gesture and then turn around and lose, you got to ask the question: was it really worth it?
exactly. Especially since like this is supposedly maybe his last year and he's going to retire soon. Like it's a weird way to go out. Um, but I don't know. It just brings up a bigger conversation of like, what do we expect from a bunch of men on the team, like filled with testosterone and like tensions are high and everything. And then I think sometimes, especially in baseball, when people start like yelling the F word to each other and people gather in fights like that to me is not as just as bad as like someone signaling to their testicles or whatever. So I
That's
don't know. I
true.
just feel like you have to be classy the whole way through, or we have to just say like no fighting, no acting weird.
Oh yeah, and then the other thing too is, and a lot of people forget this, is what are we teaching people that are young people that are in school playing ball? What are we teaching?
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, acting silly and fighting is just as annoying as like these weird gestures. Sometimes I think it's silly. Like I do like when they spike the ball and like dance and do all these things. So yeah, I think it's like just be cool. You have all the money in the world. Just calm down.
Amen to that. Talking about somebody who's not calming down, Jimmy Kimmel was spotted going to see a high-powered entertainment attorney.
Mm.
So there's speculation that he's either trying to negotiate a deal to come back to the show, or negotiate a deal where they pay him off to move forward. We don't know because it's all speculation, of course. But what do you think, Meryl? What do you think this means or potentially means?
Ooh, I think some attorney is probably so excited for this case. I wonder who it is. I bet there were so many attorneys that were like, please, me, because like when Trump was like, we let him go because he's not talented, and like what he said was offensive. It's like, that is so subjective. That's like, but I don't know. In California, I feel like wrongful termination, or like you're pretty much, you can like let people go at will. So it will be very interesting to see what they come up with. But I don't blame him. And I like the minute I saw that, I'm like, oh, I bet he has like a really good, at least a good case, that is worth getting a lawyer for.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I want to say his contract is like 20-something millionaire, I think it is. So,
wow.
I mean, it's a hefty contract.
Yeah.
So, you wonder, okay, what does that mean? Because depending on how his contract is written, do they still have to pay him? Again,
right.
It depends on how that contract's written. Or is it a situation where they could say it was, some type of issue with morality or whatever? Because I know in every contract, especially big contracts like that, there are the morality clause in those contracts. But I don't think for the reason they got suspended is a morality issue. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But what can the network actually say?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, I think if anything, it's like, oh, we said indefinitely. We didn't mean forever. Like maybe they'll even walk it back too.
Because right now, no one knows what indefinitely means. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh my gosh! I just refreshed to go to the story, and it just said now he's going to return.
Are you serious?
This is breaking news, you guys. Yeah, I just updated it. It just said he's going to return on Tuesday night. So when you guys are listening to this, that means Tuesday night.
Whoa.
Wow, I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I said, no, I don't think, because from what I heard, people were telling me they were like moving stuff out of the office and everything. Wow.
But
so it worked.
The crazy thing about it, Meryl, is that the Kimmel Show, I forgot what network actually owns them, that they're affiliate of ABC, and they were trying to merge another company.
Like Nexstar or something?
They needed FCC approval in order to do the merge. So a lot of people think that this is really a money play. Basically, the FCC threatening that, well, if you want this merger to happen, you need to get rid of Kimmel.
Yeah.
But they backlash. And I think for the companies, the more important thing is losing billions of dollars in a matter of days. The backlash from viewers and subscribers to the streaming channel. I think it hit to the point is like, okay, how much are we going to lose to make this work? Because at some point you have to look at it and go, is this really worth it?
I'm so interested to hear from everyone too that canceled their Disney. It's like, are you resubscribing right now? Like I wonder if there's what if they make like a subscription more expensive? They're like we've raised the fees $5 since you've been gone.
Wow, talk about breaking news.
Exactly. Maybe we conjured it. I was totally wrong. I really thought, no, they wouldn't do it. He's gone. But it'll be, I mean, if anything, they don't have to worry about ratings for at least that night because people will be tuning in to see what he has to say.
I think that something that the attorney, in my opinion, probably reached out to the company as well as to ABC and said, and somehow or another, there was some kind of come to Jesus moment because very, very fast to them retract.
Exactly. So, I would have to think that there's cases for all of the employees too, like, some type of wrong. I'm sure somewhere there's something legally that would help the people that were let go from this situation too.
Oh, sure. Wow. Well, we have to follow up on this next week as well.
Yeah.
There.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's really, really, really funny. Ooh, it's getting spicy. This is a real first. This is also good. This is why it's good to refresh. I was reading your article, and I refreshed it in real time. And I'm like, wait, hold on.
Wow.
Well, we'll see if during this story things change too. But speaking of lawyers, Justin Baldoni hires Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer in Blake Lively's legal battle. He has hired defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro, who previously represented Sean Diddy Combs, to join his legal team among his ongoing dispute with Blake Lively. So yeah, she was part of his defense team in Diddy's trial early this year. She was one of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's first clerks on the Supreme Court, which is pretty big. And now, yeah, there's just all these countersuits going on between like Blake Lively and her team and Justin Baldoni. I don't even know. It feels like, what do you think? To me, it's just this seems to be dragging on forever, and I feel like both of them are doing themselves an injustice by like continuing this on. If I was Justin, I'd want to be like, no, you accuse me of something I didn't do, so I am gonna like pile you into the ground. But it seems to be really taking a long time.
It's taken a long time, and also I think they're making their attorneys rich in the process
Yeah.
because these are very expensive cases, and at some point, someone's gonna go, you know what, is this even worth it at this point? And I
Yes.
could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but to me, I think that's what's going to end up happening because this has been going on a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think too, like, um, if you're them, I mean, it will be interesting to see how Blake tries to return to the cultural zeitgeist and stuff, because especially like with the news that Taylor Swift was mad at her, I don't know how much of these things are actually true or not. I'm sure it's not as bad as it actually is, but it's just, I feel like this has done more harm to her reputation than it has to Justin's. Like, I know people that disagree with me, and that's totally cool, but I don't know. But if I was him and like someone said you did this and you harassed me and it wasn't true, then I would be like, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to make sure everyone knows the actual truth.
Yeah, that's true. But also there's going to be a point where you have to look at the dollars that you're spending and go, is it worth the fight anymore?
Yeah, totally. Yep. And it's definitely wear and tear on just like their reputations, their money, everything.
That's true. Do you think there's any kind of end in sight for this?
Um, I feel like no. I feel like it's going to end vaguely. Like I feel like they're going to maybe dismiss some proof, saying it's like not enough for either of them. Maybe like I
Really?
think it's almost like when two dogs fight and they just like fall into a river. I feel like that's what I picture. It's just maybe one dog started it and it wasn't right, but both of them now are just drifting in a river. But like the Kimmel thing, I've been wrong before, so um, I don't know. It'd be amazing if Justin does win and he wins like $400 million. That's just crazy.
Does she have $400 million?
I don't know. I mean, I think between her and Ryan and like all of their businesses, I think so.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think they're like billionaires or anything. But that would be crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And I
true.
feel like Ryan will be like, "Bye, I'm actually leaving."
But it's definitely been a long case though, because man, we've talked about this a long time ago, and it's still
I
going on.
know. Because remember, it was like at first a few months ago, it was that she was blackmailing Taylor Swift, and it was just all the like it seems like once a month. And I think both of them are trying to like plant stories in the news now to try to like persuade the public one way or another.
Yeah, that's true. At some point, you got to wonder when you see all the information, everything going on, it's hard to decipher what's true and what's not true when there's so much information that's coming out.
Exactly.
Very interesting. Well, talking about a sad situation, and I know you and I talked about roller coasters multiple times on this show.
Yeah.
A 32-year-old man dies on the Stardust Racer roller coaster.
Mm.
Um, this is sad because there was, I guess, reports that a piece of the roller coaster was hanging down, and he died of blunt trauma.
Oh.
And they said blunt trauma by accident, which is a weird kind of stating. But I don't know. I guess if I was reading into that, I would think, okay, something went wrong with the roller coaster. He died as a result of this roller coaster, and I believe it was the first day the roller coaster was even open.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes, in fact, it says here a 32-year-old man, his name is Kevin Rodriguez Zabala, died from multiple blunt impact injuries after riding the Stardust Racer's roller coaster at Universal's Epic Universe in Florida on Wednesday, September 18th. The cause of the death was ruled an accident, and Universal Orlando stated that the roller coaster functioned as intended. The ride remains closed as authorities continue to investigate the incident.
Oh,
And there's been a recent update to that story saying that this man, I guess he was disabled, so he's in a wheelchair. They had to put him into the roller coaster. That either his harness or maybe the harness in front of him was malfunctioning, didn't work, and came loose. It's allegations, we don't know, but that's what's coming out now. But I guess it goes back to the thing we kept talking about as far as these roller coasters, to me, are getting more and more dangerous.
Yeah.
Higher and higher, faster and faster, the drop, steep and all this. And, at one point, to me, that's not fun anymore,
No, I know. It doesn't need to like shake and rattle us like to the extreme. I totally agree with you, where I think we're getting farther away from just the normal thrill of a roller coaster, which is just supposed to be going like up and down and scary and maybe like a loop here and there, but it doesn't have to throw us around or like separate parts of our body or anything. That's very, very sad.
Oh, yeah. And, there's a warning on there. If you have high blood pressure, if you have, it's all kinds of crazy
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. If you're like heart issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the blood pressure thing was the one that surprised me. Well, what?
I know. It's like that's giving me high blood pressure.
I mean, it's like at some point you got to say, this isn't fun anymore. This is just ridiculous,
I agree. I totally agree. And I think, of course, like accidents hopefully very, very rarely happen where it's like, okay, their bar might not work or it's a malfunction, but just going on a ride itself and having to be jostled around so badly that you get injuries is just, there's no excuse for it.
Do you think that at some point they're going to have to change how they look at roller coasters in this country?
Yeah, because I have to think, I feel like less and less people may go on them too, like between all of now that it's publicized about that it gets like stuck up in the air, and the more we see this, I think like a lot more, like, I don't really know any of my friends anymore that I think also once you hit a certain age, you're like, I'm good on that.
I agree. I mean, there's a difference between having fun and try to scare the daylights out of someone. I mean, that's not fun. To me, if I feel like I'm gonna die on a ride, that's not
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Exactly. Like when I went to Disney with my friends, they know me, and it's like we go on It's a Small World, we go on Pirates of the Caribbean, we go on stuff that like 80-year-olds can go on nicely, and I have just as good a time as I would going like upside down and getting nauseous on a roller coaster.
Well, that's the thing. You want to go have fun. I mean, I used to ride roller coasters back in the day
Yeah.
before they became like skyscrapers and stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know what? Call me a wuss. I don't care. I will not on any of these new roller coasters. It's not that serious.
Totally. Exactly. When they have the name like inverted corkscrew or something, I'm like, I don't need it. I just need a simple, like Space Mountain was okay. Like I think those are okay. But same thing is, especially when you go on the newer ones, you feel like I don't think our bodies are meant to like, it's almost like what astronauts do in their training, like going upside down and centrifugal force. And I just don't need that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And, I think at some point they're going to have to take a look at this because you start having way too many fatalities on roller coasters. Either A, they're going to have to change how they look at building these roller coasters, or B, like you said, I think a lot of people are going to go, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, oh my gosh, this ties into that too. Just of weird things. Actor Tom Holland was just rushed to the hospital after a botched stunt while filming the Spider-Man movie. Filming was suspended on Friday and could be on hold for weeks. So it was believed that he cracked his head in a fall and was treated for a concussion. It was new movie Spider-Man Brand New Day was suspended at when he was doing it, and a woman thought to be a stunt double was also taken to the hospital in an audience or in the ambulance. And I just think that's so sad. I hope he's okay. I guess like he left feeling ill, and maybe it was a precaution too, but that's just so sad. I love Tom Holland so much. I think he's cute and awesome. But yeah, it seems like they were doing the stunt and got hurt.
Ooh. Do you
I
think
know.
actors should be doing their own stunts still, especially with all the doubles they
I
have out?
know. Like maybe some of them, but it's I don't know. I almost feel like maybe some of the easier things you can almost get hurt on. Like if there's a bar you have to jump on, it's like you can almost get hurt by the stupidest thing. So, and I do feel like there's more respect in the industry when you're able to be like, and I did this all on my own, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they should.
I would imagine, because I'm quite sure, especially the key people in the movie, have that key man's insurance or accidental insurance or whatever because of that. I would imagine that the rates to insure those actors would probably go through the roof, being that, some of them are doing their own stunts, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if it's something simple, that's one thing, but I know like Tom Cruise, he likes to take it to the limit in a lot of his movies. And a lot of the stuff that he does, I'm shocked that the studios let him do.
I know. Yeah, I feel like some of the Mission Impossible ones too, he'll be like, I don't think he's just free, he's not like free jumping from a plane with nothing on him, but I think, some of like the jumps and the going from building to building and train to train, I heard that he has done them. And I love what I do love is when actors learn like sword fighting or they learn karate for different things. We just watched all the Batmans and like I think Anne Hathaway like learned a bunch of it. It wasn't her the whole time. She's not doing cartwheels and stuff, but I think she did a good deal of her own stunts, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, like I said, the easy stunts, the less, the less dangerous stunts, you could probably do those. But, jumping from train to train, jumping off cliffs, stuff like that. I don't know. I think that if you're gonna already have a big budget movie, spend a little bit more and let the stunt man or stunt woman do those stunts.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not gonna catch me like when a building is blowing up and it's a scene where they're running out, like ah. I would last 6 minutes and then they're like, oh shoot, she was in the building. Whoopsies.
Yeah, interesting. But I don't think a lot of people, and you probably know better than I do, I don't think a lot of actors or actresses do their own stunts these days, do they?
No, it'd be really interesting to know. I could be this is so random, but like I think there was like a movie long ago with Meryl Streep. Was it like when a river runs through it or someone thing about a river where they're like on a river, kayak or whitewater rafting, and it goes really poorly. And I remember hearing that like Meryl Streep did a lot of her like she didn't do all the stunts, but it was pretty impressive what she did do.
Very impressive.
So I don't know that. I know. I feel like after this, I'm honestly going to research like actors that did amazing stunts because I'm into this. But hopefully, Tom Holland feels better. I think he's adorable. He's one of like the young actors that I like. So
nice. Well, my last one, to me, is a feel good moment. Because of Kimmel being suspended indefinitely.
Now back on.
Democrats, obviously independents, but also a small handful of Republicans have spoken out against the attack on freedom of speech. Most notably, Ted Cruz was talking about, especially the language about has been used, regarding what was his word is here. Let me take a quick look here, but I thought it was very, very interesting that he said this. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. So you had Ted Cruz, and I think he was on a podcast when they were talking to him. But basically, he was comparing the language to that you would hear from a mafia figure,
No.
Yes. He said, let's see, Senator Ted Cruz, the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee, which is oversight over the FCC, likened Carl's comments about threats made by a mob boss. And this is a quote. He said, I got to say this is right out of Goodfellas. the senator said, referring to the 1990 mob movie that's right out of the mafioso, going to a bar saying, nice bar you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it, you know.
Oh, okay.
And then another person who is definitely a diehard Republican, Senator Rand Paul, appearing Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press, called Carr's threats absolutely inappropriate. And I think, and I could be wrong, I think the reason why you're starting to hear trickles of Republicans say something is there's a couple of things. There are true First Amendment hawks out there
Yeah.
that thoroughly believe in protecting the First Amendment. But the other thing too is this is a dangerous precedence.
Yes.
Because at some point we're going to have a Democratic president. It always flips. It always has and it always will. So now you get a Democratic president in there. They go, okay, we're going to return a favor. Shut this show down, shut that show down. And all you do is like every time the presidency changes, they start shutting down each shows.
I know.
And that gets out of hand.
Yes. I definitely believe that like being extreme on either end and being silly about it is like gets everyone in trouble. And I think, yeah, same thing. Like I think there's been people on the other end of things that were taken off the air that I'm like, really? I didn't agree with that. Like I think both sides have had situations where I'm just like, oh God, this is like a little much. But yeah, I totally agree where it's like they don't want to start a precedent now of shutting down shows like Kimmel and The View, because in a few years or closer than we think, maybe it will swing back the other way.
Oh, yeah. And do you think that this will kind of help curb some of that? Or do you think that the train has already left the station and you can't catch it now?
I think the train has left the station to the most part. And I definitely think that if we have to remember, some of the reason that I think a lot of people on the right don't like the left is because they view the left as like being overly sensitive and crybabies and, you know, canceling things if they don't like them. And so it's like what you don't want to do is act like you're the person you don't want to be like, you know. So it's a little like Boy Who Cried Wolf for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of shocking to hear this because typically Republicans just kind of fall in line. But do you think that this may pave the way for some other Republicans to speak up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like maybe that's their version of like, I don't know. Sometimes when I think people on the left don't like things, like they, you know, in a good way, they like take it to the streets and protest and I feel like sometimes if Republicans don't like things, they just cancel them and shut it down, you know. So, yeah, I think you're right.
It's going to be interesting, but I tell you one thing, maybe, just maybe, they kind of fuel the fire to Jimmy coming back because it's going to be interesting for me to check the updates now.
Yeah.
Will be coming back tomorrow. That's going to be interesting.
That's what and we talked about this last week too, but that's why I really hope for like the next wave of leadership to just come in and just unite people. Because I feel like so much of it is inflamed now. And I think I really think our nation doesn't want to like hate each other and be split. Like I really have this hope that like the next person will make us all proud to be like Americans again and stuff, you know. So I don't know. We need some healing energy. That is one reason that like love him or not like him, like I thought Obama was so wonderful at just calming everyone and like uniting the nation in his speeches, like the way that he spoke. So I feel like I really, really, really hope for leaders like that. But I don't know. It seems like we're going to take some time with that before we get it.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, the other thing too is, you know, I think Obama was probably the last of the old political party system. And what I mean by that is, I remember when they interviewed President Biden, I think it was early in his first term. And he, you know, a lot of people wasn't aware at the time that him and John McCain were actually really, really good friends.
Uh-huh.
Even though, you know, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican. And
yeah.
Ideology-wise, they're totally opposite. But they could still cross the aisle and talk to each other, crack a joke. Hey, how's your family doing? They were very cordial.
Exactly.
And I remember when Biden said it, you know, it was starting to get dangerous when he was pulled to the side saying, you know, maybe it's not such a good idea that you're so friendly or buddy. Pain. And it's like, why? I mean,
right.
because they're on two different sides of the political spectrum, they got to hate each other now.
Exactly. So I really think we're gonna like grow out of this, and then people that will be leaders hopefully will come in and just I feel like we're all like little unruly children, and we need a teacher to come in and just say like, listen, everyone, like we're gonna all calm down and just not play the blame game so much. And like imagine if all of our time was spent instead of this like working towards something else, like solving homelessness or solving something else. I think we could have like an amazing country, but instead it's like crack.
I agree with you. 'Cause, with all this hate that's going around, nobody wins. Nobody wins.
Yeah, not at all. Well, one person that did win for my last story, which I think is so cute, is a 66-year-old retired accountant, Kent Brassard, who proved it's never too late to chase his dream. After he retired from a long career in accounting, he enrolled at LSU, Louisiana State University, as a full-time student, and his one goal was to join the famed Tiger marching band, and he did, which I think is so cute. So he's now the oldest marching band member there. He played his sousaphone, and I just think he was on the field, and I think that's so cute.
That is nice. That's talking about chase your dreams. I love that.
Right? And also, like, why wouldn't a show or a college want like someone who's 66 on the field? Because at that point, you're probably like really good at your instrument, and you're probably like you've seen it all, you've done it all. So he was in marching band in high school and college. He said that he didn't do much marching there, but now their marching band is very active, but he's keeping up quite well with it. So I think that's so sweet, and I just feel like he's going to be the team mascot.
That is definitely a feel-good story, and I think it's going to help the students around him realize that do not ever give up on your dreams. Don't let anyone deter you. If you have a dream, something you want to go after it. Don't let anyone get from that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's amazing. Like, I wish there was people of all different ages, and I don't know, Louisiana State's awesome too. I know they have like a really great sports.
Well, you know what? He has to be good to make the team. They're not just going to put him on just because.
I know. Yep. So I think that's so cool.
Cool. Wow, this has been a crazy hour. A lot of stuff going on today.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is follow your dreams, but cancel Disney, but now rehire Disney. Have a view, but not the view.
A lot of different messages today.
A lot of different messages. Yeah, they all boil down to do whatever you want, and it kind of is all pretend anyway.
Well, talk about things to do. What do you have coming up, Meryl?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if anyone is on the East Coast, I will be in Pennsylvania performing at the NEPA Comedy Festival, which is like, I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania, shortened to NEPA. So their comedy festival is October 4th. And I will be there. So it's in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, which I'm very excited to go back and see friends. Nice.
So that's your hometown that you're from?
It's my hometown. Yep.
And you're performing there. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I know. I don't know how much. I feel like already coming from Los Angeles, sometimes people are like, oh God, these annoying LA people. So I tend to make fun of LA a lot when I'm like out of town. Because it's annoying. Like everyone views LA as annoying, and they're correct.
Well, everyone, if you're in the area, definitely make sure you stop out and support Mel. Say hi.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the show, for listening to us on all the different podcast stations that we're on. Again, please feel free to follow us on social media. Also, subscribe to us on lrtvnetwork.com or follow us on any of your preferred podcast stations. I am Lawrence Elrod.
And I'm Meryl Climo.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on lrodthenetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss and your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on lrodvnetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to lrodvnetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.